Well, today we are diving deeper into our 12 powers. We have been doing this for a few weeks because there's 12 of them to go through. So we'll be doing them for a few more weeks. But the 12 powers, they're the inner gifts that we came into this life with. And they are the reason, these gifts are the reason that we can connect our humanness to our divine self. And in connecting to our divine self, aligning with the divine within us, we can embody our Christ consciousness. We can live through the Christ consciousness, which is simply the divine unfolding through us, for us, as us, and out into our lives. So the more that we work with these 12 powers, the more our soul can reveal itself to us in our lives by doing greater things. So today I will be talking about the spiritual power of love, but it's not just love like I love ice cream, I love purple. It is big cosmic love. Big cosmic love, a force whose sweep is irresistible. It is a love that is bigger than anything in its way, right? Bigger than anything in its way. Now, in the 12 powers, love is described as this cosmic love. It is the ability to attract, desire, and unify. This is because love has the impulse. Source is the impulse, has the impulse to create through all of its creations. So it is always giving itself to its creations. And that source works through us, through our creative ideas and acting on inspiration. But of course, it's also working through all life around us, right? We see it in the natural kingdom. But it is the movement, it is expansion, it is expression of the all that is through everything. And this is why it is everything. God is everything that's ever been and everything that's yet to be. God is everything across all time, space, and dimensions. There's not one particle in existence anywhere that did not come from this source of all that is. So it acts as a unifying and harmonizing power that draws things together. So it is working through our own bodies as the cells that make up the different body parts. Like in a human, like it starts off as like one cell becomes more cells. It's not, nobody had to say, well, we have to insert some heart cells and some liver cells. All these different cells didn't have to be inserted. It was the cells just created themselves and took on the function to create what was needed to create something that would turn into a baby, like a baby that would walk and talk and, eat food. Okay, so life or love is working. This is the harmonizing and unifying power. It works through all of our cells to make all of our parts, but it also works through all people and situations in our lives, right? So life can come together for our good because of the power of source desiring to keep creating through all of its creations. It's the power that put the galaxies into their spin. And it is the power that inspires the wee acorn to grow into the mighty oak tree. Now, the disciple that represents this cosmic power of love is the disciple John. And John did write the most loving of all the books in the New Testament. He wrote about love. He compared God to love, to light, talked about how God was the Word, so everything was created with purpose, intention, and action, that this was the activity of God. And John says this: we love because God first loved us. Well, we love because we are created in the image and likeness of our Creator. We are that, just in a smaller version of it, right? So we are an expression of cosmic love, so we too have the impulse within us to create. Humans have the impulse to keep creating new experiences. And it doesn't mean, I don't mean solving, solving big scientific problems. It's just the urge to create in our lives, using our life as a canvas. Our life is a work of art, whether it's how we show up to our friends and family, the books that we choose to read and share with other people, just coming up with a solution, fixing a broken toy, right? These are all acts of creation. We are like what we come from. Now, we do get to choose whether we express love or not. We have free will. And so we may not, always show up in our lives as that cosmic force of love. And John actually kind of explains that too. He says, anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. To know love, we have to be love. Now, when we don't know God, you could say that we don't know love. But what that means is not knowing God just means we're not seeing God as the everywhere present force that it is. We might be seeing God as a superior entity somewhere, or we may just think that, well, God shows up for other people, but not for me and my problems. So when we're not seeing God as the everywhere present force that it is, we end up focusing on our problems. We end up focusing on conditions in our life that we don't like. We end up walking around in our day thinking, I don't like this, and this needs to change before I can be happy. And this isn't fair. And why did this happen? And of course, the more that we go into that cycle, it means we're not walking in faith. We're not walking in faith. We're walking by sight. And we keep looking and seeing in our lives all of the things that are wrong. And this is where we fail to see all of our own spiritual gifts, fail to see that love, for example, is the greatest of all of the spiritual gifts that we have, all of the spiritual powers that we all came into this world with. Now, there's not really a great story in the Bible about John, about love, but there's a mythology out there that I think in the character in this myth involves like the greatest story of compassionate love. And it is the story of Kuan Yin. This is an actual statue of her in China. Now, in Kuan Yin's story, she was born into an opulent life. Her father was, a king somewhere. There are so many versions of her story. I think the original one is from China, but I'm not sure. So you can do your own research. But the basic gist of her story is this. She was born to a father who was a king, but he was also kind of a tyrant. He wanted to force her to marry somebody, but she didn't want to get married. Kuan Yin had a very loving, helpful heart, and she really had a heart and a mind for service, like for helping other people, right? That other people need help. There's a lot of suffering in the world. Well, her father is mad because she won't marry this guy he chose. So he sends her to work in this temple. And in the temple, it is back-breaking work. And so he's thinking, yeah, she's going to have to work so hard. She's not used to working this hard. She will be begging to come back and marry whoever I pick out for her. Well, she didn't. She just kept working hard. And she did a good job. So then he tries to have her executed, but that doesn't work. Then he gets so sick that she actually saves his life at great cost to herself. In some of the stories about her, she actually dies so that her father can be saved. Even though he was a tyrant, even though he tried to have her killed. Now, Kuan Yin had such a beautiful, loving, compassionate, merciful heart. When she died, she was given the status of goddess. And then she could go to nirvana. But she could still hear the cry of humanity. And so she said, I will not go until every person can transcend their pain and suffering. This is a compassionate heart. This is the big love that changes the world. This kind of love. And I know a lot of us, we've spent maybe years thinking about how this world has to change. Something in this world's got to change. But see, now we know it is big love. It is cosmic love that changes the world. And that cosmic love can only change the world by working through each and every one of us. And luckily, we don't even have to have every person on the planet on board with this idea, but we just need a tipping point, right? We'll get to a tipping point, and I don't even think the tipping point is a halfway mark. I don't think that's even it. I think it can even be less than the halfway mark. I'm not sure about that, but we're all willing to do that. I know that. Charles Fillmore said, love is the great harmonizer and healer. Love prospers and unites. It is because love is an activity working through each of us. So it's bringing things together for our good. It is life working in our good. So this is the experience of being in the right place at the right time. This is the experience of having a synchronicity, right? And being inspired by that synchronicity. It's ideas and inspiration. Love is a healing force, right? It is the great healer. And it unites us then with the things that can bring healing into our life. Or maybe we're the ones that bring a little healing to somebody else. Maybe that's us. Love through us means solutions. It means miracles. It means ways to move forward. Because love, this source working through us, it is all about expansion. And expansion, we know, is getting bigger, right? It's expressing ourselves out into the world. So this is all that's working through us, right? It wants to expand through us. And this is how we are creating heaven on earth. Creating heaven on earth means the definition of heaven in the unity metaphysics is that our thoughts are in alignment with the divine consciousness. When our thoughts are in alignment with divine consciousness, we're calling all of that forth through us too. This is my by far favorite definition of love from Ernest Holmes. It is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. This is why it is bigger than anything in its way. It's a cosmic force. God, the all that is a cosmic force. Its sweep is irresistible, meaning it is working through everything on this planet. Everything. It's working through us right now. And so when we align with this cosmic force, there is no obstacle that we will face that will keep us stuck. Right? We may face a brick wall, but because this source is working through us, it's irresistible, it is expansive, we'll learn if we can change a thing or not. If we can't change it, we rise above it, or we go around it, or we dig a tunnel underneath it. But either way, we're getting around this wall, okay? Either way. So it only happens when we embody this love, though, when we say yes to this cosmic force working through us. Now, this can be hard in this day and age because our human way of loving can fail us. Because our human way of loving is very often about choice, right? I love chocolate mint ice cream. Vanilla ice cream, it's okay. It's all right. If you pour lots of chocolate on it, I like it better, okay? Or I love this person so much, but this person, I wouldn't care if they disappeared off the planet. We're choosing, right? We're choosing who we love. Some people make it really easy to love. When we have been hurt or betrayed, when we are feeling fear or rage or hate, it is really hard to think at that point about embodying cosmic love. It can be difficult. So how can we live as love manifested? How can we do this? Because it's really the question we're asking. How do I do all that? How do we live as that cosmic force? Because we become that cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible when we're embodying all this. So we have to practice the discipline of love. Love has a discipline. Okay, just like weightlifting is a discipline. You don't lift one weight on Friday and think you're you're done for the rest of your life. It is a consistent discipline, and love is the same way. And so we're practicing the discipline of love to increase our capacity to love so that we can be a channel for this big love, even though there are things happening in our life that we don't like, even though there are conditions on this planet that we don't approve of. Okay, and so what we often need to do first before we get into the discipline is learn how to have a soft heart. And the Unity Minister, Sharon Connors, shares this as a way to get a soft heart. Let memories of kindness, appreciation, and generosity minister to you. Remember that thoughts are things, and those memories generate positive energy and spiritual power. We all know that when we dwell on the past, that actually saps our energy. When we dwell on the past, we lose vital life force energy. When we're dwelling on the past, that's when we walk around in our life thinking, why did this have to happen? This isn't fair. Why did so-and-so even do that? And I don't like this, and I wish it never happened. I wish it would never have happened. That's what happens when we dwell, okay, when we're dwelling on the bad things. However, bringing up the beautiful memories in our life can actually revitalize us. And I learned a gratitude exercise where you think of a beautiful moment in your life. And when I was learning the exercise, I just thought of this one house that we used to live in when my kids were really little. And there was a big island in the kitchen, and they would sit at the island while I was making these cookies. And it was an old Redlands house, and it had this old oven. And we had Christmas music on, and I thought of this memory. But then the next thing you do is you ask your angels, God, whoever you want to ask, or whatever you want to ask, amp up this happy feeling of love and gratitude, amp it up 10 times, and then feel that. Then amp it up 100 times, and then feel that. And this really simple memory of just being in a kitchen with my kids when they were little, like when I did that for just a few minutes, I had like tears of happiness and joy. Like it was a really like happy, emotional, vibrant feeling that was in my body. Okay, so we bring up these beautiful memories that we have and then think on those and think about maybe a person we really appreciated who did, who just shows up all the time in such a wonderful way. Or think about the person who did us a favor and we have gratitude for that. Okay, so then we can now move on to the discipline. And when you see the discipline, you'll understand why you want to have a soft heart first. The discipline of love, it starts off with forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things a lot of people have. I know it's been the hardest thing for me because forgiveness is not a reasonable act. It is a mystical act. Forgiveness is to take a pain, a betrayal, something that hurt us from our past and decide, okay, I'm done living in that pain. What can I do now from where I stand right now? Even if something happened to us that impacted us, like maybe like something big, like the loss of a job, the loss of a home, the loss of a loved one, right? It's still, that's going to impact us for a long time. So forgiveness would be, okay, but what can I do now? We're surrendering our pain. We're surrendering that to God. Okay, appreciation and gratitude. These are very similar, but there's a tiny difference. Appreciation is you're looking at something that's already good, all right, and loving it. I appreciate how great the air conditioning in this room, in this space of ours works. I appreciate that so much. Gratitude is when somebody fixes something and now your problem's over. Like last summer when our air conditioning wasn't working, I was so grateful for our landlord bringing somebody over right away and fixing the air conditioner so it was back to doing its wonderful work for us. Okay, so there's just a slight difference there. Compassion. Compassion is what we feel when we would rather judge or blame somebody but decide to see the divine spark in them instead. right? To think we don't, right? I don't really know what's going on in their mind. I'm not going to judge what I think. I won't make assumptions. I won't take it personal. I'll just see the divine spark and I'll have compassion and love for them. That doesn't mean you have to invite them into your home. Okay, it doesn't mean that. You can still like say just imagine there's a big fence around my property and you're not allowed to come over anymore. Okay, you might have to do that. Okay, then we have thoughtfulness. And these are pretty easy. Thoughtfulness, kindness, generosity. We know what these are, right? It's easy. It's easy. These can be done in really little ways. Like some of the most profound, thoughtful things or kind things that have happened to me, it's usually like impacts me because it was like a total stranger just like did something that took less than 10 seconds and then they were gone out of my life, right? And so like somebody, when my kids were little, somebody holding my cart when I was trying to load groceries in my car, but I was trying to get my son out and my daughter wasn't born yet. I think I was pregnant. I was pregnant with her actually. And they held the cart so it was easier. I could get Adam into the car and my groceries didn't roll away because I parked at an angle and my cart, like, so they held the cart while I got him in the car. And then they were gone and just gone, right? So it was just such a thoughtful, kind thing and was very generous, really, too. Then mercy, right? And we will all show mercy, to others in our own way. But mercy usually involves compassion. Like, I'm going to give this person a break, I'm gonna not assume that they did something just to hurt me. I remember really coming to terms with this when we moved into our house just a few months ago. And I remember like my son got really kind of short on the phone with me about something. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to grant him a little grace for this. I'm going to just have a little mercy for this because he loves me and he wouldn't intentionally want to hurt my feelings or hurt me. And then he actually like showed up later to help. And he was like, Mom, I'm sorry, how I was on the phone. And, we talked for a few minutes. And so, but I just had mercy. And I said, well, I hope that as we're going through all this, I would just ask for you to have mercy for me too, because this move was really hard, Okay, so this is the discipline of love. Now, when we practice this discipline, our capacity to love is up leveled in our life. We get better. It gets easier to love the things that we really want to judge and blame for ruining our life. Okay, like the weather. Okay, but no, we can up level our stuff. And when we choose these things, what we're doing is we are demonstrating our willingness to see things differently and to act differently in our lives. Now, this is a quote from St. Augustine, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Love and do what you will. Love and do what you will. Now, when I first heard this quote, I was a lot younger, but I thought it meant love and do whatever you want. That's what I really thought. Love and do whatever you want. But when we are loving big cosmic love, and we are practicing the discipline of love, we're practicing forgiveness, appreciation, generosity, all of those things, love moves us into unity consciousness, right? The allness consciousness, how we are all connected. And so we love and know we wouldn't do something to hurt another person. Because if we hurt another person, that's hurting us. That's where there are those sayings like, oh, if you point your finger at one person, 3 fingers pointing back at you. Or, revenge, it's like holding a hot coal and thinking it'll burn and to throw it at somebody and thinking it'll burn them. Or it's drinking poison and thinking it'll punish somebody else, right? Okay. But when we are embodying and expressing big cosmic love into our life, it would never occur to us to do something that would hurt another person. That wouldn't be in our realm of choices. It would not be an available choice. Okay? So if it hurts you, it hurts me, I won't do it. So basically, you could say, embody Christ consciousness and then do whatever you want, because you will be in the Christ consciousness and you'll be choosing from love all the time. So here is our call to action. Our affirmation is, I am a center of divine love. I am a center of divine love. Divine love is at work right here, coming through me, for me, as me. Okay? Let's say this together 3 times. I am a center of divine love. I am a center of divine love. I am a center of divine love. And divine love is a love of cosmic proportions. It is the divine love that guides us to do something that we may never have thought about doing. You know, to show up in our life in a way we would not have thought of, to show up for somebody else in a way we never would have thought of. Carolyn Mace, she's an author, and she probably has the most profound understanding of the chakra system. And it is her work that influences anybody else who writes about the chakras. But she says that the heart chakra and the heart are the powerhouse of the human energy system. The powerhouse of the human energy system. Now, the heart, the physical heart that we have, its counterpart is the heart center. The heart center. And the heart center, it's not the heart chakra. The heart chakra is about the function of the body. The heart center is about our connection into the unseen realms, where God moves through us. In the heart center, most spiritual traditions, or like Eastern medicine traditions, there are more Eastern medicine traditions that write about it actually, or indigenous traditions. And they see it as a gold ball of light. But it's not a little, okay, it really is. Okay, it encompasses us, it embraces us, and it's where the divine moves through us. So the heart being a powerhouse, and this is also where divine cosmic love moves through us, we can see that this is not just a little, it's not a little thing. This is a pretty big thing right here. The Heart Math Center in Colorado has spent now over 20 years studying the science of the heart. And they actually have also found the heart center. And they have done so much. Like they even have a podcast now talking about the power of love and the heart center. Okay, so you can research Heart Math Center. But they say this, this just pops up in my talks. I let it just rotate around freely, and it just likes to surprise me, right? This is divine cosmic love. Okay. The Heart Math says, negative emotions lead to less well-being. Okay, decreased well-being because of decreased harmony in our body system. And when there's decreased harmony in the body system, this can end up radiating to decreased harmony in our life. Positive emotions lead to more well-being. There is an increased harmony in our body system. With increased harmony, of course, the cells all work together. They can understand each other better. Our cells are actually designed to be communicating with each other. Like from the tip of your toe to the top of your head. They communicate with each other. And then, of course, increased harmony in the body system leads to increased harmony in our life, too. So positive emotions, they do really lead to more well-being. And it's not just about, well, just think happy thoughts. Sometimes we all know we can't always get there just like that. Sometimes we've got to bring our level of how we're thinking up just a little bit at a time. But here's where we can go back to the soft heart exercise. You know, if we're feeling like last week, one day, my husband walks in the door after work and he's like, hey, how's your day going? And I just said, I even put my hand up. I am very salty right now. I just let him know. And he's like, okay, that's fine. He's like, you deserve to be salty if you need to be salty. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet. I felt better. Okay. But we can start with the soft heart exercise. And then we go back. This is where we go back. Discipline of love. Discipline of love. And this is what will help us move toward those positive emotions, especially when we sit in gratitude and appreciation for a little while. Okay, we start feeling good, like we feel the goodness of those memories. And so this is what leads to us expressing that big cosmic love, right? Love that is the great harmonizer and healer in our life. So here's our invitation for this week. This is a question we can ask ourselves as we are just going through our days. Are my thoughts in harmony with divine consciousness? Are they? We'll know. When we actually ask ourselves that question, we're going to know. Because we'll either feel salty and we'll know it, or we'll feel pretty happy or peaceful, or we'll feel zen, we'll feel chill, or we'll feel no chill, right? We're going to feel it. But when we are not in harmony, when we're not feeling like we're in harmony with divine consciousness, because we know our previous thought just condemned somebody to a fiery, brimstony place that we don't like them, right? So we know we're not in alignment. That's just a joke because we don't believe in hell, okay? But it doesn't mean that on occasion I don't want to, wish somebody a nice trip there. No. I forgive myself sometimes if I'm salty, okay? But so if we're not in harmony, we just practice the soft heart exercise again. And again, we go back to the discipline of love. We go back to the discipline of love. This is where we're up-leveling our capacity to love, to have a little mercy for those people who rub us the wrong way. I'm talking about me, right? Have a little more mercy, have a little more compassion. We up-level our capacity to love. We call forth greater love out into our lives. And we live as that force of love manifested in a physical body. A cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. That becomes us. We get to live as the cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Because that is how we are creating heaven on earth. So, until next time, remember, you are divinely designed to be doing all of this. All of this is already in your DNA. It's there. You don't have to go find something special in the outside world. It is all already inside of you. You are a one-time, one-of-a-kind cosmic event. Let's say that together. You are a one-time, one-of-a-kind cosmic event in everything you do. You are blessed, and so it is. So it is.